That's a good thing da.
Lasso, tatani chigri. That's a good go.
Okay, we're going to get started.
Yeah. Tani Kazakin Tia Mombuchi, leaning as a Tibetan Jamara Ramandu Tanda, Motashipat and Cheo Pazia, the Chigia Lombali, and Mukwal in Tomanjava and Chiores in Itanjitua Chisha. Ta counter Chigel Nasoshara Shingu Mata, Nachu Nani Shia, Motashipa, the Cheo Panize, Lavia Tenit, Suit Soso. Kyolna kyong mo shibiteni kyola majigni lo sondeni tandrichil motashipa da cheo pasha horepena command shijai nangi kamajam na yakpoyo mare ngaron la yakpoyo mare samni samlo tandri kyonli sem sondeni tandrichil motashipa zini motashipa da cheo panika zawiton da tandrije.
So last time when we spoke, there was a whole lot of questions about what we talk about as shame and embarrassment, and there was a lot of discussion about sort of what does that actually mean. So the really key here for that is shame and embarrassment in Buddhism is really recognizing that one has a fault or that one has committed an action that is bad and wanting to avoid that in the future.
So tani koni chabarta ngemashia naujre motashipa Soso Jimson the Chiningal Mintonari, Mantonari, Kyun Leka the Chatas China Yapoyo Maris and Bisavlo to Mosashi Battery, Cheo Paziat, Nikyun to Chedina Jambatas or Hakondro, Ni Papa Hakondro, Ama Hako, Topo Hakondro, Yapoyo Maris and Inzende, Tenjivi Chaparchimato, Shrayo Mari Mosashi Cheo Penny.
So when we talk about shame and embarrassment, the biggest difference is that in shame, oneself recognize that one has done something bad. In embarrassment, one considers, that other people have see that I have done something bad. Other than that, the basic there isn't a big difference between how Buddhism understands shame and embarrassment.
Retanita Chigerko Mozazia Jamba Kwa Yosagringas Popikin Sona Tanjurine, Kyondrichi, Tavichi, Metiso Hakon, the Teninga, Moshiusa Domba Mabocha, Mozazia irritated, and that Mari Nachunani shipping Mozashipazia, taking the Shigiano, Yo Machi in the South of Chiatremato, Chetsani Domba Mabocha, Mari.
So when we talk about embarrassment, what we're not talking about in the Buddhist perspective is that we did something bad and then we sort of blush or we have these physical symptoms. What we're really talking about is recognizing that we've done something bad and deciding not to do it again in the future.
Last what in Chigretani, not so give a chicken Gopa Payo Zeatan Roti, Payo Zeatan Roy, Payo, Tixum maybe Tunji Tanchi, Chipala Tashing, they gave you Conrogi Lamuni, some mountain Charlie, Songi number chance in it in the sonore, so the Tatombo Tapa Zeatal Tetjani. Payo Zetia gave you son de Nichile Japore Pena, Naro getting a tepa yon Yochina, ni tepa te Yapo de Munduan Tapa Sony, Tepal. Telonro, John Chandro, and Yana, so which Zopa Gomdeni, Zopa, the Yapo Chakandu, Teli Zopat Manyam Chamadronity, so with same song, they need to do more than the Chile.
The courage in a young
give us song.
So the what we think of as it's not diligence, where is it? Pliancy, the Gupate. Heedfulness. Okay, conscious. So what we think of as conscious in Buddhism, what we talk about is heedfulness here in the book, sometimes also conscientiousness, is basically it's the way that whatever we do that is virtuous, we try to do it carefully and we do it as well as we possibly can, so that if we're engaging in faith, we really are careful about our faith. If we're engaging in meditation, that we're really careful and ensure that we are doing our meditation as well as we can.
Ta ko tiksam me pa chonji tanchi pala tapa yinse ate tsichure tiksam zeate do chame pigetsa jedam pigetsa tanda tumu me pigetsa samdel tiksam me pigetsa tari ti gon la chonji ta tjeta la tapa yinse ore nda tapa ze de ate kali kapochi yore ta tanda payo to so la tapa reze on di payo nrawo ti sonkyop che denye to koso reze gona yana ta national tenji she yore koso Payot solo nazo yakpochi shawala, Tuxame Pigesa, the Sunji the Solo Yakpochi Mashana, Koso Loyal Sharmato and Tenijix theory. Takpazia tiny the Tia.
Tika su tik takpa tika.
Takpazidiat
Takche che takpa tika.
Mari, mean tire tapatri. Mean yin mean tire tapatri. The suit and so payo there to Lola Yapochi Shavala, and Docha may be gets at the moon may be gets at Sunji may Jeta may be gets at Sunji to Solo Chishani, the Nico parts of the Goalingua, Teniji.
So, when we talk about the heedfulness again, the main idea here is that we're taking action based on being separated from the three poisons. So we want to take action based on non-attachment, non-hatred, non-delusion, and have that accompanied by diligence.
Tenidre Payo Zat, Takon and Tatan, Mosashi the Cheo Paning as a Jun Zem Danichi Shesson, and the Payo Pazia Susu Jaka Gesat, so son Danichi Share, Tini Theatre, Japon Rawich. She took Gesat on what touching Julian Zem.
So if we compare heedfulness and sort of shame or embarrassment, one of the differences is that one is we're looking at faults, and the other one is we're looking at the virtues in ourselves.
Last Tani, until you and wrote the Katejan, the Yoan and Chijan, the Tayo at the Chishe Jaroa, Ngin Tata, Chimin Tata, Wikin Tata, Damba, some Chiteni, Snani Chipatan, Hanchi Jis Jopi Parios in Ingasondu, that Tetsuri Tanga Yamaguachi Tate, Tombo the current Resisla orders and also gave Chawachi late, Jormun Jixum Chiyongor, Jormun Jixum Della, Jormun Jixum Zena Hakora, Mol Lekachi, Leka Muja Pena. The Rinchi Shakotang, Nil Gevachi Drangakora Chinjogo Samna, Nil Tombonga Koranjo goes and Gevachi Jogos and Ninjogos and Bicolonchi Legre, Telugova Zegre, Tenicora Mujan Droatela, Mujalagre, Gilanga Corachi Posata, Yapochon Soterian Gevachi Jobson said in Jugzegre, after some the song we payo some Jacore. The one down chat on Wize the other day love them.
So when we talk about the 5 divisions of mindfulness, what we can think about is, as it says here in the book, purifying past non-virtues, refraining from them in the future, not engaging them in the present, and examining your motivations, and continuously abide with heedfulness. So, for example, if we're going for a walk, one of the things we can do is, before we go for the walk, we examine our motivations and make sure that we're doing it with virtue. While we're actually going on the walk, we look at our motivations and make sure that it's virtuous. And then when we're done, we can examine what we've done and make sure that it was concluded with virtue.
Ani tassamchi tani jabat karze karlon la taqpazeti nabji soso samba karlon de yapondu mundu katina taqetani karlon yaposhol semchi deni tel karlon taqpazere.
And so the fourth one there is actually looking at our motivations. And so we really want to make sure whatever we're doing, we have a good motivation.
Laso tani agenda payola ni paziachin do ta tamate terjeta girdani tanjigo sawlot gintuni cheto atri.
So the fifth one is just to make sure that we continuously have this, what we're calling heedfulness or conscientiousness about whatever we're doing.
So
it's very important that this virtue of heedfulness is very important to have in our minds regardless of what we're doing.
Ani chapat tanyum dal rogi chapat non the sim remupa la chik tan chopi tab nam la tembi sevni gu rembi chopte sevni gu agapa topi se changum ki nyembo tembi sola margu par sem lengi japarni pi topi sem jonze tanda tet gomja pikap ko sem jonenga chembo chire gomja pikap Chima ta gopa zini samlo ni ore tani ni chata pa jechini tani ko paru ni pi tanyum dela tanyum ze de gore.
So the next one moving on to is equanimity, and this is the mental factor having established the 9 stages of mental abiding using the methods that set the mind single-pointedly on an eternal object and attain spontaneous mental abiding without needing to exert any effort in applying the antidotes to laxity and excitement. So the main point here is that when we're meditating, equanimity is a state that laxity and excitement have been completely suppressed, spontaneously suppressed, so that we're able to concentrate with ease.
Last tani nam ju gom jab devi kapsal nga so sem that mukpa tel de mathoni ka ina short drain you ya short ma short saulon dam da juk de ni chi yore tel gopa lagre yon juk devi kapsal mukpa le sem si chi de na ma sem ba nyop to chani ma nyiku ana je nyiku ra ma re nyop tel ta chingwa la ma re chingwa ze te ni ma ku ala mukpa chi sharna de ala sa bono shra men ma nyop to chandro samlo chi yore tel gopa zegre wa chingwa ta gopa ni ku
So what are laxity and excitement? So excitement is when we're sitting there and we're meditating, and as our mind will not stay on the object, and it sort of bounces back and forth to different objects without being able to settle on an object. That's excitement. Laxity is it's a dullness that comes in. It's not actually falling asleep. It's a dullness that comes that keeps us from clearly seeing the object of our meditation.
So tani ta tanji gom jamni ta da dinal tanyum ngoni to chonto na parishila choni what is dile choni ka chiwa ta gopa ni cha ya le matoni ta pa Tata doni gom jam yak po de tu kap pa ni ku do ni te amayo mu pa le chalo ya shon ro ro te tata de kap to savlo tanyum ze de te tere kam di shepi tanyum te tati gom jam kel ke chembore.
So our goal here is that when we're meditating, if we have this factor of if we have equanimity, then our mind does not go back and forth to other objects, but is able to actually settle on our object, and it appears clearly without having dullness. And this is really important when we're meditating, that we can start to cultivate this virtue.
Last what any tanyum te kirtani naso nachu na tanyum ze ag ternia tel sam le gore ndap che tanyum ze achi ta chowa tanyum ze achi ta chame tanyum ze sam nani dandan da tombo ndap che tanyum ze atre.
So when we talk about equanimity, there are three types of equanimity. There's the equanimity that is a conditioning factor, the equanimity that is feeling, and immeasurable equanimity. In this context, we're talking about the first type of equanimity, the equanimity that is a conditioning factor.
Tanyum ze de te kirtan cho ni jani ti ni parle semlo lo de to ni chire kam de ta da ngani chiwa ta go pa ni jani ti paru sem tata kikul chiwa wande ama so go pa wande ama so kikul de ni tel de che tanyum tanda shia tanyum tere ani choa tanyum ze ari chi ore choa tanyum ze at dingar yama ye deva yama imbi ti paru le chi deva yama dingar yama imbi chola ke tawa chi le tel choa tanyum lagre.
So talking about the first two types of equanimity, the equanimity that here is a conditioning factor is the equanimity here we're talking about, where we have a mind that has that no longer has laxity and excitement, so that we're able to stay focused on an object. The second equanimity, the equanimity that is a feeling, is the translation, is an equanimity that when pleasure or pain arise, we don't sort of get repulsed or attracted to either one, that we're able to stay stable regardless of the sensations that are arising.
So tani tamatel ngaso chame tanyum zari chame tanyum ziti namba abya ngaso chamba chame nije chame tanyum chame tanda shingo kawa chame zini chame jegi nang chame jeni nang chu tanye chu tin ng tamater dikawa chame tanyum te kanji jakore zina semchan tamchala nyera chada ni tan chawi tanyum dare de shu ke chembore de nge jare samni semba control yamache de chi ni nyen chore sam telan do cha yamachi do cha tan control ni ke parule ne to ni tela chame tanyo lagre tinani tanda te tamari ketan chame tanyo sam tende shi javde inda moter.
So when we talk about the immeasurable equanimity, what we're talking about is when we talk about the four measurables, was it the immeasurable joy, immeasurable love, immeasurable kindness, immeasurable equanimity. Oh, I can't say the four measurables in English now. Anyway, it is the immeasurable that's in the four measurables. And what that means is that when we look at all sentient beings, some sentient beings we don't perceive some sentient beings as close, and we don't perceive other sentient beings as far. We don't act with some with attachment. We don't act with some with anger. We're able to see all sentient beings as equal. That is immeasurable equanimity.
Also, tani ngaso gya chaching nang tanyum ze dia te tani chire ta tanyum de pachi ngonchon rogre tani chachik pa number manse vi sem jong ze ad kar jerdan me bi char to shan ze mungpa semcha lamni dinga da travel mozo pistevi namba chan zia chik shegore tanda jedam me pigetsa re lab goni ri yore ta su tende ni je ran re ta semcha dinga ta charna nyambi samlo chi yora
The ninja.
number mansewa zedia
Number is ninja.
number mansewa zeandra chamba zia ninje zeandra sopa zeandra you will jedam me pigetsa zeandra so tsama chik pan ore
Okay. So the last mental factor here is non-violence, and this is a mental factor associated with non-hatred that upon observing its object, sentient beings, thinks with an aspect of loving kindness or being able to bear other suffering, if only they were free from suffering. And so this is very, very similar. So when we think of love, we think of compassion, we think of non-violence. All of these things are very, very similar. They have a very similar function in our mind.
Kazanga to jedame bigesa shavondi so semba markin nija la no pachendo atendri do chik samlo le jedame bigesa she de wori dete jedame bigesa samso mjamba la no pa machia maze tanda jamba ta so dingar ta charna samba tin kan la chechu tendri chik demba she wori.
And so all of these virtues have this aspect of looking at sentient beings without anger, without hatred, wishing them to be free from suffering, wanting them to be happiness, to have happiness.
Tanda kunti guluk char to shanze ata takpa zedia tandi tarnya mambo chingundo ata sorchik ban chire takton da char to ton te kale khapon chire te ya reze jana kunti liglam te mandin ken chire lobo yinye kunzoli chena tagaran da number man sewa ta jeta me pigetsa reti chera pa chi reze ni ya yimba she jeta me pigetsa na tanda number man sewa ze ya chira lobo yinye tarna te jeta me pigetsa tagaran re la kunti ge chena da char tokpa ta takpa zedia ta pa mai nyen ro te ze chabar yo nyen re she gore te ze kale khapon chindu kunti chena number man sewa jeta me man lopo yinye kunzo tarna zokanol shia na je chena number man sewa gesa te je dam me pi gesa ta ran ya re la de ku cheta si res ai na te tombo te chi gerja kimbe.
Okay, so although we are saying that like love and compassion and non-violence are essentially the same, there you can sort of posit differences between them, of course.
Yana yang kunti gati re lab jagna mandga te te chabar yo ashi yo re ta chabar she gone te kapon chindu.
Yeah, so we can say that there is a difference between them, although stating this difference exactly is a little challenging.
Tam do tsedina je tam me pigesa zena jang tsam pan ra otang control che wi kend le pick up so control mache ni ta tel pa no sem ra chi mache ya tel je tam me pigesa ri all zopa she de on dia zopa te tendire tan dalati gan la sem cha dinga ta chando zeni khachu chi gyara mang parche chi ban chi.
So non-hatred, we could say, is that when someone gets mad at us, we don't return that hatred. Non-violence, we could say, is that when someone is angry or mad at us, we don't return that with violence or trying to harm another person.
Tendali yang to man sambi li chen zeni tarnya tan chi gyar don to man samba zedi pa sholo no pa chendo mepi ga no pa che sambi samlo mesa ga le ka che ngi chi re la chi re to man samba zedi to man samba
Okay, and so non-violence really has this aspect of never wanting to harm another sentient being.
Last tini tindi de chigre ta gewa chachik tinga so semjong ngap changa chikanang control ngatandro yengi ngatandro gewa chachik te semjong ni staching ro saware.
So now we have finished all of the 11 virtuous mental factors among the 51 mental factors. So the 11 virtuous mental factors among the 51 mental factors is finished.
Tanindani ma tanda number manse we gesta tal manchu ni chamba ta ni je tam sopa ta samde konsan chakotini mande she chi gyab te dom chi gyam ni kan je tu chi ji.
So now we're going to discuss, there's this, His Holiness has given us sort of a general introduction to love and compassion, and so we're going to go ahead and look at this section.
Tanga so namja genda ge chamba ta ni je tam sopa la soba kun kepin chewa ta se to gure zini chiwa chion de nga so chamba ta ni je ta sopa ta jang che yin yin chi re ta konsen chokosena kepin chewa ta sosol to gure chamba ta ni je tam sopa gom de ni chi na namja genda ko na chigna chana meba na to mombo me kewa ani leka kar chena leka danso chewa Kenso nang li che na karina kangin ri le ti kangin la don le che to ni tin ri me chi lap chen ro chi ko ro chang ro re ya shu kep san che wa ta so so le to re song.
So when we think about love and compassion and patience, right, who benefits from this? It's easy to think, oh, well, maybe other people actually benefit from this. But what His Holiness here is saying is actually we primarily benefit from love and compassion and patience. If we have love and compassion and patience, then we will have less fear, we will have an easier mind, and when difficulties arise, we will be able to face them without as much hardship.
La so so za nga zo message na ya ta chamba ta ni je ta zo pa ta so ina so so ma se ke wa te ma se so so de sa ko ri ta so na le ya de ke chen to ya tin ji so sa nga zo message so ton se ina cham nyang je le ba so che ko ta chang ke chim bo re son du.
Another aspect of this is that if we have love and compassion and patience, then whatever environment we're in, whatever society we're in, whatever group we're in, that will also help everyone get along, and that group will be more cohesive. And so this is another great aspect of these virtues.
Na zo ro mi ka ri chi yen na chun chu yin di ni pa pa ma ta ta nyen da ta so go chamba ta ni che ta tsewa la te ni ta yang cho ni le yong song ta chamba ta tsewa ta ni ji ya ta nga zo sha ta pa pa ta ri pa chang ma pa tum ro ni ro chang ma ha ko ya ten ji so so le cham se to na ga po che ta ti li do pa che na ma ke pa ta semba ma ke wa ta te ngu ni tse res.
So when we're young, we're fortunate that our parents really fill us with this incredible love and compassion that parents have for their children, and this is a very great blessing. And when you don't have that, as we go on, then it becomes a problem.
So nga zo le cham se ya ta pi ta po yo ri te cha la ya po ri chi zin ngo ni na chin je she ya mo go yan ri chi res ta ma ha ko de ni te cha la te sam lo za wa chim bo chi yim ba te ta ma ha ko go ni ri chi res.
So when we talk about love and compassion, we don't really have to prove that it's good. We all know from our experience from when we're younger that love and compassion is really important and is really a good virtue. We know it just naturally, that we understand that it's a really important virtue.
So nga zo na ja gen de le samba karlon de ya po chi che ta karlon ze ti chamba ta ni che ta se wa la so ki karlon chi ni jan le pa jeb de ta ta pen to ka se jeb to ya ti ge le ka che ta ha chang ke che mon ro ten ji tong du zin ten ro chi re shi.
So really, whatever we're doing, it's really anything that we do, if we have love and compassion and patience, it will make that come out better and will make it easier.
Ani chamba ta sewa ta ta so ta nga so de ke ka sa wan ra wo tan ro mi na ka ri na de ke ka sa wa ta je de ka sa wa yim ba tu shulug ma che sa ga cha ma ke leng yo re la ta ti li do ti kon ro ro ten ji che ni ra man ra che na zu pun tro tel mo bo cha ya ta so na se ri pa ga ke leng de ten ji re ze ndo.
So all religions teach that really that love and compassion and patience are the root of happiness and peace. And also, if you look at science more and more has shown that love and compassion and patience are really core to human happiness as well.
Ani nga so le ta ma cha ma le cham se chi ta chuni yong ma re ma cha ma chamba ta ni che ta zo pa gom de ni tri chuni yong ma re se na te pa so che me che gre mang te cham se ta Sama ba so che na yong ya nga so je san ra wo te yo re la ndo ma sama le sem kel le chamba ta se wa ta ka jen ra wo sa bun ra wo ta te sama le yo re.
So there is no one that cannot cultivate love and compassion and patience, these virtues. Everyone has the seed of these virtues within them, and then if they just work on cultivating them, that these will increase and become more and more inside their minds.
Teni cham se ta so le ri ni ro chi yo re. Ta ti ri chik ta nga so me chama le yo kyo de she de or pe na pa pa ma ul cham se che da pu so pa pa ma le cham se cha ya pin ja ta cho po na nga so cham se chi le yo ra ti cham ba ta rang jing ge cham se ro ta ti chama le yo re.
So when we talk about love and compassion, there are two types. There is the type of love that a parent has for their child. It's the kind of love that just naturally rises within someone, that doesn't require any cultivation. Then there is the type of love and compassion that we talk about that one actually cultivates within oneself and makes it stronger and stronger through practice and meditation.
Ani ta cham se ni ba ta kar re zena ten ri rang jing ge yon jo ta mai ne ta ya ya ke ta ya dres ya ke ta on di ni penja re ze ni pha ma re ze ni cho po re ze ta so le cham se ra wo chi tili ge ma yim ba me chamal pa cham se che to ya aso ni dian kam go mereze ama imba ni lomba go mereze ama imba yana papar mer carboreze ama na poreze ama imba ta marboreze mer yewan ro tani chuni machini tsama pa chamyam go chamba ta sewa kyonto yaki tango ya ta chamse ni bat ta na so yaki tango ya chamse ni bat teres.
So the second type of compassion is a type of, or second type of love is the type of love that we cultivate. We can cultivate for anybody. We can cultivate it for our friends, for our family, for people we don't like, for basically anyone on the earth. Right? We can cultivate this type of love for them.
So sanga so navye chagda monsan de karichi onzinate ni topore ni jare ni lombare ni mergre de chupore de kyopore de chigreze ni de chulu jamba chulu de ni chulu tendri research ni yewa te chewala teni teni control tangar gertan tendri mombo chi yongo sa tendri chema go was semja tamchala se nyombo chi cheto atam beto nel che gores.
So partiality is this idea that we look at some people being better than others, or we were more attached to some people more than others. Like one person is rich, another person is poor, one person is family, that person is an enemy. And when we cultivate this type of love, we really have to avoid this kind of partiality and learn to see everybody is equal.
So that teni ngaso chamse chi yongi tablam da tendri chi yore vezina tel tablam ni shege yores tablam tombo te karrezina ngoto jitsa chamgong ngoto kiwa tino le semchana semnyam nyelamdo ani lopo sange ngoto jang njebato seri semcha tamchala semsge chi panye tansin teshia namjing ngaso semcha tamchala semnyamba ta kechembores ta semnyamba ta wazina karreze boreziti ngaso mitsaman rapon zortan raporeze ayo mare lomba chik bareze ayo mare dos chik bareze ayo ma te chik pa mare ta yana semcha tsamal rapo chikare yorezena tsama ti mtse chik tal soso dekki chik chet kali kyab de at tsama chik bares ani soso mtse chik tal kange mayo dingar mando pa ta tsama chik bares do tsdina dingar mando pa ta devando pa ta tsama chik pa in sonza sem nyamba ni zeat tenji samlo tangores semcha na sem nyanyese.
So when we talk about this equanimity where we're making everyone the same, it's not like we're imagining everyone having the same shape or the same color or these external attributes, right? What we're doing is we're really realizing that everyone in life struggles in the same way. And how do we struggle? We struggle because we all want happiness and we all want to avoid suffering. And so in understanding that everyone is the same through wanting happiness and wanting to avoid suffering, we can come to see everyone as equal.
Tande teni kyonji kanal sontonde ati ta concept dagtan jani kaze devan dotum sombala dagtan chaperchi yona concept dagchi deverson zidi tanga so semchen setan sachi na devan do pachik kyan insonsa ngaro chikpo te kepochi chevi chetani kali jamnan jiko maraze karchi ni ngachikpo kali gores ngato tsoma kepo yon chetani kali jamna yapondo aze ateri karzina yoa karzina ngato tsoma kepo chi yona samde ore ngato tsoma kepo samona ngato tsoma kepo yon chetani ngato kali chi gare mo dino ni ngachikpo te kepo chi yona so chikpo de kinso ate yabo mareze te sonde.
So Shantideva is engaging in the Bodhisattva deed says, in that both myself and others are the same in wanting happiness. What is so special about me that I strive for happiness alone? In that both myself and others are the same in not wanting happiness. What is so special about me that I protect myself but not others? So out of this, we should think that, everyone wants happiness and others want happiness. If I strive only for happiness for myself, that's really not right. I really should strive for happiness for everyone because we're all equal in wanting happiness and not wanting suffering.
Allah swat ni dingar te jersai me geomara dingar korda concept dagtan jani la dingar mandom sombala dagtan kyaper chiona concher jam dagsom chete tsirkani bat ya chikbar ta semcha tamcha dingar mando pa chikbar es yana soso dingar tel mayon wi son kyap changja che mi jambal dingar son kyap che pha jani tanda mi jambal dingar che tni che gore nga sunro mi te che gro o tni che go kare yore nga so tsama dingar ma mayon wi tablam chi chena yakreze ateri tam counter di kar songo yore zena devando pata dingar mando pa chikpa yin sonsa te gimsen de cheni nga so chamba ta ni je tanzo pa gomgore la wore.
So I jumped ahead. I read both both verses there when I should have read the first one. He just read the second one. In that both myself and others are the same in not wanting suffering. What is so special about me that I perfect myself and not others? So through this reasoning, really understanding that everyone wants happiness, everyone is striving for happiness, everyone is also wanting to avoid suffering and striving to avoid suffering. I am the same as everyone else, and that we should really work through love and compassion. Use this reasoning to generate love and compassion and patience in our mind stream.
아니 손자때 나초 잠바다 세와던 조바다 소 곰고비 gemse tombo te teritini navshajin ngaso gom kantup chicheta jambata nije ta zopata so kantup chi gomda so kyon arat yapo savlo tan de parche kyon rakmari tanga tip javlo shingi kyon rak son sam ne savlo tan chi tan de na yang kyon rak kireta tan ji masam tanga khepsa ma to kyon yo mari samna kadina tan ji savlo tan de na pen zopan ro chi control zana yapo yo mari san ni sam de na sam malam na tan ji control zandro tu men otanga control zando yapo mars malam nalia control ma chato atndi yongando kati yina yedang chede nani pe parshin le tsuinal komshin jile ayo sari.
So we should really strive to cultivate these virtues of love and compassion and patience within our mind stream, and really not try to so and if we practice this as mind training, so that we really train our minds to react from every situation from love and compassion and patience, then this becomes really deeply ingrained within our minds. And perhaps even in dreams, when someone gets angry with us, we will react with love and compassion and patience, and we'll really integrated this way of thinking really into our minds.
Tani gemse nipa tanga so chamse gongo vi gemse nipa ta temje go ni sablo tanga nde tenji telita ke chembore sa roa marna panzer chik la teni ni o pata shina am chori me pa yongre ze ata teri tanga so pena nganda wachi na ngan zambulindi golen tsuni de go nan kori kum haja mambo chi tu gore mato ngan so to yo mare pesha yo na peng mare kari na peng mare kar zeti zayan jo dopochi na te jimba ta tanji mambo chike jenni yoni jeni nge pesha jeni nyo jara kare mato koso kale ti jamena ngal pesha yona nyo ar kamare te nawje diglo ko yari de sang kambare rosa langare chama te mambo chike kale jamni ngaso chama de kete yon yo so kori kumi chama te so pentoni umuta jenni ta ropa che de ni kyang yimba savlo tani te ton ya je de ore ta za kya ze amare ngoni ropa che ni kyang yar chan song sang in the sole chamse gom gore the so mena nga koron so to mare samni o savlo ti ta ke chimbores.
So another way of thinking about love and compassion here is the thinking about dependent arising, or how that we live in dependence on all of the sentient beings around us. And so take me for example. Any of the money that I earn in dependence, or that I receive in dependence on other sentient beings. The house that I live in, many sentient beings have come together to build that house. All of the food that I eat, it comes from many sentient beings. So everything I do, every benefit that I have is in dependence on all of the other people and sentient beings that have worked very hard to provide that for me. And so this is another way to think about generating love and compassion in one's mind stream, is really understanding that every benefit that we have comes from so many countless other sentient beings.
Tandati korte kenso le jabje zegrata atsu mi le kache kenso jabje tenji korle chijan la yapo sigindu zeni ngema tenji mombo ko pena zakon le kache nyendra wota langal le kache nyendra wota ta kangale de indeso kaligal teninga so kenso ya jinjo rezeni tenji ngatsol pento ko yore yapo sigindu zegindu chikel te tagarare tandate ketan ko so chama la chameleni frigile kache ni da shra yo mara la cha chena yo ngatsol ha champion to kore ngatsol pesha chi yona za kanandro ni ka tu za chochore ma to ko za kan punye mena pesha yona ya so zona ma za yo ma oteni no savlo tani te su te tere tango
so just to continue thinking about this, right? If we think about where we go to a restaurant or a hotel, and we receive benefit from we get the food from the restaurant, we have a place to stay in the hotel, and even though we give money, we have to pay money because this is the way the world works. We have to pay money to get the food. beyond that, if they weren't there, the money would do us no good. We couldn't eat, right? So that they're still working to provide us benefit, even though there is an exchange of money for services there, right? They are still providing us food that we use to live.
Laso, teni, ina ya tesan zamlan yitch zamlan de sol lapa samson rawo de karrezi na. Panjo ya jinjo, gomo mambo sa, teni china deki yon yimba chini. Ani soso sem la rangchin zangachin do chandra control ngargyar no sim denindo, chaton jansim. Tendri gu samlo pa dikya kyang denjeni the soso panjo te ya jinjo nan rig deni samni deki yongo yore sam gore teni tendri kyang sam teni jampanze and rawota teni jamse ze and zopa ze and ndo chonchoshi ze and tendri chuni macheni leka tendri kyang che son teni kensol deki tsawani ni yom mutoni panjo ya gi katsenjo na yo kensok kangi chiri ndo dia tendri yonga ta no sablo tanton manje o te songlu.
So if we look at what allows us to be happy, right, it's really dependent on how we think. Even if we have lots of, if we earn lots of money, if we work really hard and we have lots of good things, right? If we have a lot of greed, competitive, resentment, ill will, pride, jealousy, attachment, hatred, all of these things, then none of the things that they do will actually make us happy. And if we look at the world, so many of the problems in the world really come from these negative qualities. And as long as we have those in our mind, then we won't ever actually be able to be happy, no matter what else, however much benefit, otherwise material benefit we have.
So, tanda zavlan on mizo pikangi mombo chiyores. Kangi tsama dopa tang, jansim tang, kunzen tang, nosim tang, ngardia tang, chato, do chala so pa tindri kyangyan gazo de ni chimato teli dopi chamba tang ni je tang zo pa tang jampanda te tsogu ro mil kangi zo njo chi o mares.
Di kare di tsawa ki kimsin man di.
Oh, tanga tsul kangi mombo chi yon de at do chata control tang ngardia tang chato la so pa tindri chini ro mizo yo manchik la na re ta chi kala kyopo zama dengir tzo sama tzo zo jang yor ma to chamba ta ni je ta tzo kin zo kan zo yo maris.
Yeah. So really what causes the problems in our society, the hunger, the poverty, it's really this competitiveness, this hatred, the jealousy. These are the qualities that are causing problems in our society. You know, love and compassion and patience are never causing problems in our society.
Sonza parti chutak tsama namje na dario na na jan de chi dajan challenge dan da tak tan yom jerwi ni pa tam cham jong ker ze tni son yoris ti don da kar la wore zena nga so rang chinzen shiu chi yona ani nga ta ko zeni ta yewa chi chegres yewa chi jijila rang choglan do cha chi jan chogla dan chi ni tni pam chak to ta ngar ya ta control la so pi ni pa tsama te tni ma long gres sonza rang chinzen ma chi ni jan chinzen de chi ni pa so yon sa koron yo mari go ja sa tni ja gres e o te songu.
Who's the author? For the exposition of So the Dharmakirti in the exposition of valid cognition says, when there is a self, there is the notion of other. From the distinction between self and other comes attachment and hatred. Fully linked with these two, all faults arise. So the point here is that as soon as we really hold tightly onto ourself and we then differentiate others, all of these negative mental states arise, and these create all of our problems.
Last, tani jire tani kyonji ka tsik ando da sonjik to jikte de achanye batte kanja dendo li chon jikte dinga chanye batte ka rand dendo li chon se kyonji na la chwa chi sa kyonji na tani sondu se kare jikte ng dekki chama ta jampang ka sablong go ni yong yores kange chama ta rang chin zeng go ni yong yores ni kyonji na tani sondu se.
So similarly, Shantideva in the Engaging in Bodhisattva Deed says, all those who are happy in the world are so from wanting others to be happy. All those who suffer in the world are so from wanting themselves to be happy. And so really, if we think about it, all of the problems from the world come from one trying to create happiness for oneself alone, and all of the benefit in the world comes from trying to help others. That's what
kama nishindo tiezi jaka kama chiyo tina nilenga riro tani ta jigdom tandi chigyamdo ro nga so mirik to mata so yagbori dikare ziyada kecha shitan tigris liga nam jeten tan tigris samba kalon chetan tigris kecha yagbo shinge leka yagbo chenye kalon yagbo sange na me yagbori teli dogna me dikare sonza nam shakin nga so chulik ta mirik ta tandi ta amazon kalon yagbo chizon ko ha chani kechin boris linga yasum.
So just to summarize this, like it's incredibly important that we have a good attitude, a good motivation, right? That we're motivated from love and compassion and desiring to help others, and that we're not motivated by competitiveness or hatred or desire to harm others.
아니 드라미 견성다 가서 아로서 마찬나 니 마찬나지 마찬마다 소소가 나미 나오진직 사울로 따니다 사울로 따토나 테니 치키치를 모니 나미 나오진 그 소소를 돈리아 펜 토코 요성자 테니 사울로 따나 야보레 델리 도테 야츠 바자 마츠 바자 데나 소소 초아 텐사텔 소소가 당와체 데오레 테 논치 침보 요성상아서 잠바다 세와가 견속 정도 알 바츠체 쇼제야 테니 지그레샤 연 션데 카치모레스.
So it's just really important that we really work to cultivate love and compassion, and we try to see everyone as if they're our families and not to make divisions where we like some people and hate some other people.
어떤이 로직레시 하다 공산 조금 접시했던 일이 다 잠바 시에빠지니 잠바 그런 걸로 지내고도 다 잠바 판 노동도 시에서는 먹고 지메다 셈자라무니 대와다 담마 참 마로냠바 담버 kirchiknyambi semjongwazi tatese gori chambaze deata semjakate kazeina michi dekin rechingon o ta deki onda pe yakpondusa ani tel jimayan deki yakpochi yonasa tangi kol deki yon wi tablam go yekin raw karisoto na sambi counter semcha jambal deki yon na gadeni samlochi yora o tendi chiglo chambaze de yores.
So now we're going to move on to the section that's called in love in the book. Let's see. Where's the definition? So the definition of love is a mental factor that, having observed sentient beings, thinks how wonderful it would be if they had happiness and wishes them for them to have it. So basically the idea is that the way we think about love is that we want other sentient beings to be happy, and when they are happy, we're grateful that they're happy, rejoice in their happiness.
onda tu tandri chamse to gobdona jedanga nyembo njogo yore jedanga nyembo sina jambala control mazat jamba ke pochi yona de pochi yona tandri chanja sal tona na kol control zagmara o control maza sonza jedanga nyembo njogo tona tandri shendu.
So love is the antidote to hatred, and so that love and hatred cannot exist at the same time. And so if the more that we cultivate love, the less we'll have hatred in our mind stream.
Tani je chamba gomdena njepen rawota ta chasanji mugwachi njepen rawota kari yongorezena chakto me pandan se me pa no semda tsoya mayon watani je dan so mechewa tani go semje de shoglo mombochi le pento kores.
So what is the fruit of cultivating love in our mind stream? It is getting rid of ill will, it is getting rid of hatred, it is getting rid of violence.
Tanda the jedon maybe na tanda chamba zeate kong yasina number mensewa tanda semjo ngachanga na chingu gya chachika tama number mensewa semjo tere kore keje deure
Kare de jipare.
te chikpare tara number mensewa yin la ore chamba ta.
So love is also the same as the last of the mental factors that we talked about, which is non-violence, and it's very, very similar.
Tanga so kiche chang ro china chamba yin na je tang number mensewa yin bi ya kya gore number mensewa yin na chamba yin bi ma kya mare ninje ja chore.
So if there is love, then there is non-violence, and if it is non-violence, it is love. So we can say that it's the same.
Otandi chamba zina tani jire tani zopa te shegi zopa te onsan chokondi no ma mombo shindo ke chimbun chim roga ra ab zopa shena zopa zede at kar rezeti andi ngot kani shan ngot samni mandroga te zga dan de lo mombo chitang zopi ngot
Definition, the essence, the tambo no tika.
Zopi ngot kan musi chingmandwa tan deni ma
Chingin nama yare tika.
네. 뭐인데 인데왜? 조파참 인데 이사리 단데 따단지도 원래 요치. 다수 조파제디아데 초아메피 choa me pa zenje choa me pi kon jeton me pi gesa zia chiwa o tere de orin de lo pa di da ja o man ju pa na to jin bi paru che tso dong mem tsanyet zo cho me zen do zo pa zena kar zena sem choa me pa ze ti jala dans sem da no sem che vi sam lo chila go kor zem zo pa gom go zi di katina zo pa go zena kar reziti pa sho ko chi control lo di tel pa no len ji chendo me pa sem je mo je
So now we're talking about forbearance. This is also sometimes translated as patience. And so really what is the essence of forbearance? What is the essence of patience? So Chanchakirti is entering the middle way says, giving is the essence of the perfection of generosity. Absence of anguish is the essence of ethical discipline, and non-hatred is the essence of forbearance or patience. So when we meditate on patience, when we meditate on forbearance, really what we're doing is we're cultivating this ability that when someone gets mad at us, we don't return that with anger. If someone tries to harm us, we don't return that with trying to harm them. We're able to sort of, in English, be forbearance or have patience so that we can take this and not return it.
Zopa tela mandra waxam shen jando dingar tanling gi zopa chulangi to gi zopa no pala chemernyam bi zopa zia chinduta na jinga to yon chak zopa ta dingar la chem no pala chemernyam bi zopa ze teatre jamba tsam no pa chi on di tela no le machini control machi pa no pa chi ko masam ni lolo te to at no pala chemernyam ba samba ta tere.
So there are three kinds of forbearance. The three kinds of forbearance are the forbearance of consciously accepting suffering, the forbearance of certitude in contemplating the nature of reality, and the forbearance of disregarding harm done by others. And so what we just talked about here really is the third type of forbearance or patience.
Dingar taling gi zopa ze de at kar ze na so ding ngaso nabje kangen che on di control shi uchi lang yo reze wo ti chik boy na jamba control on ye na so kangen shi un che on dingan ro chi che kabla yang control shi leng gore ti kabla dingar taling go pa ze de at gom gores ti gemse ngoma karti chu so kyonji ke tsik ta ndo karti chu si yo na na tela maga chi yo karti chu si me mana tela maga chi pan ze ande ta tin de shi or penanga na san chi na vi kabla menchun de che yo na na pa menchu che so da tare ni control za de ni kar pengres kas menchu che meni ta che san ta control za na kar pengre menchu ni che yo mar sonsa ko kangi chin che di control za na chi ka peng mares no chi ma to peng mares sonsa leka ko chu si yo na ari chu si mena yo re control za wal pen do che ka yo mar sonsa dingar te kar chona so tan le ze na tan jikre ni nyon jana yakre sam chi ora tan le ze de ate o tan che go re ze ati.
So the forbearance that is consciously accepting suffering, some people when bad things happen to them, they get really angry, right? But what good does that do? When something bad happens to you and you get angry, what does that help you with? And so the engaging in the bodhisattva deed says, if there is a remedy, what use is there to feel upset? And if there is no remedy, what use is there to feel upset? So take for example, if you get sick, right? If you get sick, and there is a remedy, there's no reason to get upset. You just take the medicine. And if you get sick and there isn't a remedy, what good does it to get upset? You're just going to make yourself suffer more.
Ani chulangi to ko zopa ze de achi orende te reshi ya de tanga so na chu nang ka chang gashi she on de pena kiwa ngap she na yang re na tomba ni ka ke she na yang re tenji ke cha ka she on di Seven Jignon, or Tindri was a Chanandra, or Tindila Chanam Chenipa, Tombani Kachina Rikianga Shatat, contacting Chu, Tanyan Gashingashi, Sema Makipa Zogo, or Tomachenipa Zogum Chenike or Marisani, Shasha Zogum Chenin, Duat, Chulang Tokozo Pazin, Zopachi the Teja Hore. The non Tenya Tapan
Nibate.
Nibatrio.
Ni tam sam de
tomba ni korse ti samba jik tak ya ta da ki ang ap chen ro chi ten ji shi on ya ro ten ji on di sem jik tak ya yo ro to sol pa zo gum che to ya la chu ne to ko zo ba chu ko ni she wo.
So the second type of patience, the forbearance of certitude in regard to contemplating the nature of reality. So sometimes when we're meditating on emptiness, or sometimes when we're thinking about past and future lives, fear arises. Like we really start to believe it, and fear arises in our mind from thinking about emptiness, thinking about the lack of self, or the lack of the inherently existing self, thinking about past and future lives. And so in this case, this is what we're talking about with the second type of patience.
Lanso tatani ro chiri tatani ma di kyonji kitsik ta jachin ro jerdan ta dikpa me zopa ta kat meze na kyonji na tandi sonres ma so jerdan na je dikpa meze dikpa ze ta tu kange yon kechi kange yon kel jerdan na je kange zo kin pita yo mares no semba ke pozo kone zopa ta yo mares etes mundu.
So there's another quote from the Engaging in the Bodhisattva Deeds that says, "There is no evil like hatred, and there is no resilience like forbearance." And so in this case, when we talk about there being no evil like hatred, what we mean really is that there is nothing that will bring suffering on ourselves like misdeeds, right? And there is nothing that allows us to deal with difficult times than patience.
Jerdan de dukpa chimbo yimbi gimsen de la nachu ngoni shena jerdan zeate de soso ne sapye gewa tsama chola tanja ni pa chimbo chi yori ze ore pena nga chol pesha mambo chi sa ja odi te men tran chi tani ta pesha tsa mel tsingro chi ora ni pesha tsama chola ja ro ja te ta nga cho khondro shi chimbo la na soso ngar sapye gesa gewi tsa pa cha tsama chola tanja re zini chik te she yore.
So why in terms of Buddhism, why do we talk about hatred or anger as being so terrible, like being such a bad affliction? The main reason is that hatred burns up virtue, will destroy incredible amounts of virtue. It's like if you have a whole stack of books and you set the books on fire and all of the books burn up. Anger is like that; it destroys all of our accumulated virtue in an instant.
Ni chama dingar yongat na chupare ta nyomo jamba go do chang de ke na chama dingar na la yukure zina yukure ta tu ne sa pe gewan jo ya tu do chang da wala she yo mar je na la te yo pichani do chang da wo chi na chama na ma dingar nyo ayo rezina yore ta ngang go gewa ma ka chola tang ma do cha control ta tang go ko ni mandawa tin she go.
So one difference between attachment and anger or hatred is that, well, if we have attachment or desire or craving, it definitely does bring suffering, but it does not destroy our accumulated virtue in the way that anger or hatred actually. Not only does it bring suffering, but it destroys virtue that we have previously accumulated.
Ani anga so nabgi yana zopa zede ana control zede anga so nyimare so ichashin de chani maso control zate yin shashan de chini tel shita kyo matare ma ngoni nani tananga so nachu china ki gomse de sablo yani antani control zana kar chakandu sana parchi control yonden toni machi yo jamare yenaya matsama ni taba control zani ndo de yora te sablo matare ki gomse at machi ki gomse at sablo tanatre ki pi gomse at yo
Yeah, ki bakare di kana mi nam gundi ki long
ngaso mi nabje mi kenso na le control za kenji ti za shang de chi de ra so kala za na shi te samlo tang me pi ta re ze samlo ya po ta na control za le kyunji ma to yonden thoni pa che yo je mare.
So in our lives, I mean, everybody, normal people, anger is going to arise, right? It happens, it's normal. But the most important thing is that we really understand when we're meditating and when we're thinking that, oh, this anger it does no good, and it actually does a lot of harm, like to really remember that.
So once ni ta pa ke gom che gore zina samlo tang gore na control za na rikmar control za na rola supona sal jogre chma dik tag chukele na dik pa yore ani so desa ke kenso ya ma ke pa zo gore chopo ta pa ma ta ro pa sa ma ke pa zo gore sa ni ta pa samlo tingol ta de na control chong ro ya cha yare.
So if when we do our meditation or when we're contemplating anger and hatred, if we really think about the faults of anger, that it creates problems for my body, it makes me unhealthy, it makes my family and friends unhappy, it creates problems in society. If we reflect on this over and over again, then the amount of hatred, our response for anger will sort of diminish over time.
Ani parde da chapa woman ji panal zopa yonde chipshe zopin ji shake wo tambalam pendant lik dans le municipal qui par kerjan zopa zete te gonna se chimi nan mandal se chimal zopin jewla ko zingzi bo chakres zingzi bo ze am namba ya ta zingzi bo ze te zopin jewre ze wor Ani zopa to gom de na matsama mi yakpo res ke tambal tsugres ani zopa yakpo gom don na lerni ga nak kyonji pi shirab ya gi training kipa chakres ta so zopa gom bi payon tin shendo
So Chandrakirti's Entering the Middle Way says, forbearance brings qualities opposite to those just described. Forbearance makes one beautiful, dear to holy beings, and skillful in knowing the right from wrong. So if we meditate on forbearance or patience, it will make us attractive to others. The holy beings will see us and cherish us, and it will help us be skillful in being able to differentiate between what is good and what is bad.
Also the ni kyonji ke sholoka ni jandu ta sheni tini japenda senja ma sonam ka jate ta jom ki yom malon trovi sen da chik chom na ajate tan chom danja sartan da ko yos te ta ko vi kala lons lantel tsam ki ko wa satan tam cha yo tan ja zeti tan nga so zopa gom go ton de gem se yang chik she wo nga so zopa gom bi kap sa nga so control on the carre partial chi khatin ro chi chawi che tres ina zambuli le semche kyopa marab zetiat pe namkha kan de res delin de le control zanin sanin de le control za sa ma kan de ore daun ro chi ni jat me pa zo se ni tum ni ja me pa zo ko zine zo sara sawani ni yo ma res deli so semche pot pa son de pa so sama me pa ta chi ba res pende di genre pena ngazo sakangal chant therma zia chi hakoya therma kamba kanjema dona kamba therma pukures ata therma mupu chi sawat sam sat kamal kwa yogo sena baba yogo sena yotwa yo mares ni so kamba ngol kwa ni jarni ro shota sat sama kwa yo ata chikbares te navje so sem de son de ti jatama turo ata chikbares jen jatur twa yo mares yater.
So, engaging in the Bodhisattva deed says, wicked people are as limitless as space. There is no possibility of conquering them. But if I conquer my mind of anger alone, this is like conquering all of my enemies. Where would enough leather be found to cover the entire surface of the earth? But if I put leather just on the soles of my shoes, this is like covering the whole surface of the earth. So really, I mean, this just means that if we look at the world around us, there's endless numbers of people that have the potential to make us angry or annoy us, right? If we let them, right? We're never going to make everyone always please us. But instead of trying to change other people, if we change our mind, and that is like in this here it says conquering all of my enemies, but right, really what you have to conquer is the mind of anger in your mind. And the example in the second verse here is right. If we imagine that the ground is covered with thorns. If we try to cover the entire surface of the earth with leather to stop all of those thorns, right, we would never be able to do that. We would never get enough leather. Really what we have to do is just cover the soles of our feet with leather. And then that is effectively the same as covering the entire surface of the earth with leather. And so this is the example for patience, right? Really, if we can just change our mind, then we don't have to try to change the whole world, which is impossible anyway. Okay, so now we will take some few questions. Maybe we'll start with the question, Bia's question in the is that your question in the there's another Bia.
Another Bia.
Oh. We'll start with the question in the chat here. If I give love to others, but others give me back with anger or look down on me, how can this bring me and everyone happiness? So kongichiwa karesena di nge mi shinla chamse dangna ine di kongsungala di kongcho dangna di kanjis di simgibo chakeres kanjis di shide yongires.
Re tatanda sholo katama ti tonda ta chikban shirendwa. Sencha mason nam ka jazeti nge pa chamse gomna pa shoni tsa chamse chevik ni pa tsawanya ni yoma sencha mason zeti kyopa marab kanzamuli khande ware zewa yena soso go sem lolo chini chamse de gomni de na zoba gom de na ni sem lolo chason ni soso lolo chana nga kyopo yore ngal goya de kare kyopo tere soso kyopo zo tapte tere se kol pa chamse gom de soso kyopo chando gres kengal tsewa chena andu ma chena ta yaksho ta chena ma chena jaso soso chamse gom ni de soso sem chukumare sem devar o dekhi tere zeni zu te she.
So this is really just like the last two verses that we read from engaging the Bodhisattva deeds, right, is that you're never going to stop people from getting, there's always going to be people that are going to potentially anger you or cause you problems, really. And so what is it that you really want? What you really want is to be happy, right, in your own mind. And so if you have patience, if you have forbearance, when people look down on you or try to hurt you, you can maintain a happy mind, right? You don't have to let it bother you, and then it's exactly like you've sort of covered the soles of your feet with leather, right? Instead of trying to cover the world, right? You've controlled your own mind, and you have happiness in your own mind.
Otani ro chiri tangaso aso namjin di lamte zonri ti mataso tinachi tashi deleze andro how are you say andro namase dezen chigjan angashi tsageni kapochin andro ndo angashi chig namjen ro to andro ndo tate korogo namje to nari matore ngarso maga ngarso ngoni kalon ya pochi chi kaya pochi tsemba ke pochin ro na nal kepsan yo bari ta paso gapochona ni chal kepsan to bre otani du chiri.
So we also can think about sometimes if we're walking down the street and we say hi to everyone and we smile, and some people respond and smile and say hi back. Some people look down on you or don't respond or aren't happy with you about it, right? But really the important thing is that you in your own mind have this love and compassion for other people, and then the people that return it, then you both benefit. But if you yeah, just that's what he said.
That's tani chuare.
So the Chiwa Nipa di Heinata, how to cultivate compassion in the daily life, knowing all the bad things that happen all the time. So ngato di chamse, di namgyunki chamse kanjis kongieres, di zambilingi nangla di dukchak pe mango dunga pe mango yuna, di kanjis chamse di kong yarki jogires.
Ata zamolope chamse me pachade ore ta yargi kanji tangore ze ore.
No mare di zamblingi nanga di mi mango dunga beng mango yores.
No re.
Ja chawa dukchak beng mango chegi yores. Di hakon shindu kanjis di chamse yargi jogires kongires.
Ta zu chamse yargi mandro dikshorta tanda ndopa gwandan roche. Ndopa chechak sondi tani leka dikya mombo che yongore. Namji tserik pata tsogo tandi shegnu zanga tso chamse yargi tanke te tersan chala ta tso kyankam jika chala sabachi tso no te kyabrak mombo che ni chala yargi tangandwa. Tandi rawa che ni pa mak chika chiglandri chika chigla she ni chamse te yargi ndro tab chig tandi yo na zeni tandi chaz tangandu zegndwa yana. Ta chamse yargi tang zena kakpo re mato. Kirtan ching lilapo ni yo mare mato. Yargi tana pento yoata tatachi gan she so aso kenso ko kange chama chamse tani je go janjo chi yo mare se samban do chata konro go janjo chi res chamse tan do chata konro to so go nimbon ro gore oteni do chi re ma to ta yargi kandi tango re zena narso mari ngore ni teze shik jawe re ma to je ka pore terebe
Misama the cultivate compassion the chamse kom the
gomtang de kandi re zere
gomtang yani the knowing all the bad things happen all the time. The zambalingi nanga the dunga beng mango hakoshindu kanjis chamse kom the gigires.
Te yakpochi ko maso chwa tengo masaro kar.
Tata the nesama the kongi dunga kongi chiwa karesena the zambaling the dunga beng mango.
Oh dunga ta re.
The dunga hakoshindu the chamse kanjis gigires. Kongi chiwa re this.
Re dungar yo che hakov jand chamse kanji gom gore se yo maro.
Ni di re the kongi chiwa di tata re.
Ta chamse re dungar yo na ta nga so semchal dunga ma yo ma sho deki yo ma sho zamni na lo sablo ya gi ta te chamse te re. Ta tel nga so che thoya kala concept chik so samlo ya pocheni so che thoya chi yora. Che ma thum na ya so samlo te yar gi ta to na chamse gi chashi chikle tsara tranga chichik lango na tambok ni chik zya chi yo gore ma to chik mena chilang mar ti gon le ni samze ni tini ya ji ta mi chik chamse gom ni chamse ko ni chamse ya ji ta sama chamse le tsinjo che ro che na te mani chamse gom ni choyo mari ti kin so no gri zya te shik che so na chamse me ya cha.
So in response to this question, I mean, love and compassion is exactly like say, is exactly like understanding that there is this suffering and wishing for people to be free of this suffering. But it can be difficult for us to jump to the whole world. We want the whole world to be free from suffering. So it's really helpful to, in the beginning, really just focus on one person, wish for them to be free from suffering, then focus on two people, wish for them to be free from suffering, and just slowly go bigger and bigger. Does that help answer your question, Hinata? Okay, good. The Ganjin Che Sungyorik. The Ganjin Che, thank you. The Ganjin Che, thank you so much for the precious teaching. Ganjin Che Sumchubala Tuche Nang. I had doubts on practice compassion to wicked people, but Geshe taught me for once. Oh, the Kongso Nguma the Tokpa Yure, in Tanda the Sebo Chasong Sungyure. Do you have any questions? Anyone else? Questions? Anything else? Yeah, okay. We'll stop. Thank you. Thank you. See you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Geshe. Thank you. Thank you for the teaching and thank you for the good translation. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. Yes, thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you.